Okay, good evening, everyone. Hope it has been a great day for us. This is our business meeting, and yeah, like we have been announcing before now, and I have to apologize for starting this meeting late. We had some technical challenges, and we're trying to sort it out. So we really apologize. We just go straight into the meeting. Let's just take some time to pray first. So, Father, we thank you for this opportunity to learn about our business, about how we can profit with the resources you have put in creation for us. We pray that as we go into this conversation, you give us insights that can help us to be productive with the talents that you have committed to us. And in the end, that all will be for your glory. In Jesus' mighty name, we have prayed. Amen. So, good evening again. You are welcome to this meeting. I'm going to be your host, and we have our guest in the house already. We have our guest in the house already. The name of our guest is Taiwo Obasan, Mr. Taiwo Obasan James Yakub. He loves to put it that way. Taiwo Obasan James Yakub. Just a bit of introduction. Our guest is a business person, a fintech person, someone you can call tech bro, right? In our own contemporary language now. He's a Christian, he's a husband, he's a father. Yeah, Obasan has been around in the tech space for a while now. He has worked with, just to mention a few things about his career. He has worked with Cowrywise, he has worked with Fondo. He was former CEO to Fondo, and then became the CEO of the same organization after he was absorbed by Imagine Africa. So Obasan is not new to the business space. He's an entrepreneur himself. He currently works with a venture capital company based in the US and as an associate. So we have someone that can guide us into business thoughts this evening. So without wasting our time again, I will just invite our guest to join us. So, Mr. Obasan, you are welcome. Yeah,
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'm
yeah.
really, I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you very much for the invite.
Well,
It's really great to be here.
yeah, we're also happy to have you, and we hope that it's going to be a very insightful conversation with you tonight.
Yes, same here, same here.
Yeah. All right. So, just to start with, maybe you could just tell us a bit about yourself, the things that motivated you. I mean, around business. I know that you've done a lot of things. I know that you've done a lot of things, starting from your days in Shomolu doing printing up and down and doing graphics design, moving into UI UX and all of those things, and then into core economics and all of those things. So can you just take us through the things, the principles that guided you through to where you are currently?
All right, thank you very much, sir. And so, bless God for the journey thus far. Actually, the journey started with design, just me trying to do one or two things around design. And I think during the days of desktop publishing, if you recall those days where you have to go and learn computer, right? The same
Yeah.
way people learn tailoring, learn
Yes.
all of those things back in those days. So I learned how to repair computers. I mean, when I say computers, not laptop now. You have monitor, CPU, and all of those things. Floppy disk and all those things, right? Then that was where the interest really. I had a brother that was a web developer. So
Design.
web developer at that time, is in fact is a lot more crude than HTML, CSS, and all of those things that we write now. You do desktop publishing, so you design the graphics, then you bring life to the graphics. Right, that was Web 1.0, where we only go to the internet to more or less like just consume. So from there, I think that was around 2007. Was when we were trying to do that. Then um, we got into graphics design and printing. So for a very big part of my life, I had thought that I was going to be a printer because printing was a business that, I mean, the margins were really, really good. So by the help of God, we were able to go that into three different locations where we, in fact, at some point, we had a small shop that was serving people in Abuja, serving people in Lagos, till the economy happened. And then I think that was first year of Buhari 2015. I was still on campus, and it was our doing to vote the
Mm.
president, and the president decided to move up the dollar, and that business crashed, right? And I learned firsthand how not to build business, how macroeconomic indicators, how our political choices can impact our businesses and all
Okay.
of that. Then I was also opportune to work in an FMCG that was 2012 down to 2014, 15 there-ish. So then moved into tech, finance, um, digital banking. When we didn't know it was digital banking, right? So we were building that, did that, exited. Then after some time, um, we've tried our hands on quite a number of things, and now I currently work, just like I've said, on the funding side, right? Trying to ensure that we allocate capital to the entrepreneurs that are doing the right things, trying to shape on our ecosystem and our society, as the case may be, right? And so that's a bit about me. So in terms of motivation, I won't lie, my biggest motivation at the early stage was just make money and survive, right?
Fair enough.
Then East Nigeria, right? And it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just
I
more,
understand.
at some point, it was more of, okay, how do you make the next 60 days? How do you make the next 90 days? How do you then? It got into, okay, can we do something very differently? And two people actually shaped that for me, right? Babatunde Oladosu, the then CEO, founder of Everbridge. I owe
Yeah.
him a lot. Then the first person that structured all of this was Razak, the CEO of Cairo. Is trying to say, oh no, you have to be able to make impact, right? The most important thing as you are making money is also seeing the impact, the business that you are doing, the amount of things that you are doing, how it's impacting people, right? Because the way it works, and I learned that even as I'm on the VC side, right? To say the
Mm.
best businesses that we're able to give money to, that are able to really create an impact, are people that have founders that have looked into the future, and they've seen what the future looks like, and they've
Mm.
seen a gap that people would that would exist in that future. So what happens is that they've built a solution that will now usher all of us into the future that they have seen. That future might be a year, that future can be 2 years, that future can be 3 years, and before you know it, they've built a product that you can barely do without, because that is where the future is, right?
Okay.
As the case may be.
Hmm. And that's interesting. And from what you said now, I could see you pointing out, putting structure into whatever you are learning, and then from that, getting insights from the structure that you have. And so I'm going to ask you, how important is it for you to put structure into your learnings? I mean, from the things you mentioned now, you it's clear that you had your hand in a lot of businesses before you got to where you are currently. So how important is it to put structure to the skills that you are adding to yourself? And the second arm of the question will be, is it okay for us to just be okay? Let's say I'm into digital marketing now, and just say that okay, that's what I'm doing, and then that's all about it. How important is it? How how important is it for us to continue to upskill and just add add to what we know and be able to create value to people, especially in the world we are now, like Nigeria, where man, we you have to you have to be able to make money from different streams. So if you don't mind, just share with us.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. So I think when I was trying to prepare for this session, one thing keeps coming to my mind. And the thing is that our lives is a story, right?
Mm.
And with the help of God and with ourselves, we determine the kind of story we want to tell, right? With our lives. Growing up, I am someone that is very obsessed with biographies, and what I keep seeing with every biography is that everybody's life becomes a story, right? And you have to be able to understand per time where you are at that part of the story and what you need to do to move to that next phase of the story. So whether we like it or not, every little thing that you do accumulates into any like your future, right? Those little things that we do. So for instance, I'm a digital marketer now, right? If tomorrow I stop being a digital marketer and something else, and or what I've learned as a digital marketer would separate me out, would set me out. For instance, we can have 15 tailors, right? I think they are called fashion designers
Fashion
nowadays.
designers, that
Yeah.
for
We can have
branding
15,
sake.
yeah. We can have 15 fashion designers, right? They are doing almost the same thing. And
Yeah,
while you would be so keen to speak to some, would just be maybe something that they've learned somewhere. So let me give an instance now. If you are a fashion designer, and let's say when you went to school, they gave you CBG, right? Or they gave you, microbiology or all of those courses that they used to give people on campus, and you feel like, oh, I'm not going to do anything with it, or they give you Yoruba education and all of those things, and you want to do fashion, right? What you don't know or what you might not necessarily leverage on, that might make you not necessarily be different, would be forgetting what you have learned. So, for instance, um, I can be a Yoruba person. I studied Yoruba and I'm currently a fashion designer. And all I'm doing on TikTok is more or less like I'm trying to teach people how to be a tailor in Yoruba, right? So when I'm doing my TikTok, I'm talking about Yoruba. I'm trying to use that, and that's more or less like what people just see. But I'm just trying to tell a story. So as I'm cutting the things, I'm trying to tell the story about, oh, this is how we used to sew clothes. This is what it is today. This is the fashion that we had, and I'm just bringing those things that are not necessarily the core part of me, right, into like what I currently do today. And what that leads to is that if you don't have any of those things, you won't have anything else to separate yourself. So, for instance,
yeah,
now, when I wanted to get into VC, one of the things that I just it was to say anybody I'm speaking to, interviews and all that, is just to say, oh, I'm a former founder. I've done virtually everything in tech. I can write code. I can do this. I can do that. Those things that I learned that are not necessarily a lot, and that was what I was using to sell myself. Because there will be tens of thousands of people that can do what I can do. But the
hmm,
thing is that what else can I do? And the only way you can keep doing that is if you have harnessed a lot of knowledge, both the ones that you think are important and the ones that you think they are not important. Because
hmm,
if you are, for instance, things that we don't take for granted, we take for granted, right? You are in church. Oh, let me say that you are in church, you are a worker in church, and you're asked to go to the sound department, and you're like, I'm an accountant. What do I want to do with sound, right? Now, when you get into rooms where there are people and everybody's saying, "Oh, what do you do?" or interviews, they're like, "Oh, I'm an accountant. I'm chartered. I can do this. I can do that. I can do balance sheets," and everybody just says the same thing. When you speak to people and say, "Oh, yeah, I'm a chartered accountant, but I enjoy physics because I do sound engineering," the first thing the interviewer will ask you is, "Oh, you're an accountant and you also understand physics, sound, and all of this thing," then you continue the conversation and you're able, even in business, like those are more or less like ways. Because if you go to conferences, business conferences, and there are 20,000 people there, you most likely meet 100 people introducing themselves to you like the same way. They're, oh, I'm a business
yeah,
person. For
Yeah.
me, what I just do is, oh, I love cricket, and I do this, I do that. Oh, I can do this, I can. Oh, are you able to? What's cricket? People, nobody barely knows about cricket as a sport, and before you know it, I've sold cricket to you, I've sold my business to you, I've collected your card, and we struck the deal, right? So we have to ensure that our story, whatever, everything about us, our life is a story, right? And we have to find time, like a point of a convergence where we can tell that story the way it is, and we won't have a story to tell if we've not invested in ourselves, if we've not gone beyond things that we think are within our core. I hope I was able to
Mm.
answer your question.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, everything you explained now will just lead me to the next question, because I see you talking about knowledge. How knowledge is very, very important. If you, even if you think that you don't have what you are going to use the knowledge for now, just keep knowing. And I remember this saying that you pay for what you don't know. The more you know, the less you pay, right? So we have to keep learning. The knowledge we have, we show up one day to help us, and that's very, very profound. So my next question will be around scaling business. So you're someone that moved through a lot of businesses. You are still doing business. I mean, you are funding businesses now. Yeah. So uh I want you to talk to us about scaling business, you know, especially in in the kind of economy we have currently, where uh there's there's a kind of uncertainty around policy making and our governance. So I want you to give us, just help us to understand, how do we scale business in a kind of economy like ours. Like, for example, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say I'm into bag making now, and I might not have the skill to produce bag, but then probably I just plug into one of the value chain, probably collecting the bag that someone is making, and I'm trying to market it and all like that. So if I want to make that big, probably make it increase my market base, and all like that. So can you just guide us? Because I know that a lot of us, it's not like we don't have business insights that we think that okay, we can venture into, but then there's the problem of, oh, okay, how do I scale it? How am I sure that people will buy this thing? How do I convince people to buy this thing? And then some of us is that, okay, how do I fund this thing? Some of us will wait till the time we get the plenty money to be able to venture into business. And a lot of time, before you know it, the business you are thinking that is novel to you, you just see that another person beside you is doing it already. So you just help us. How is scaling business like? Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. So let me start this way. Before we even go to the scaling business, so let's talk about if you even have a business. A lot of people do not have businesses, right?
Okay.
Pardon me. Uh, I mean, the WhatsApp CEOs and the likes, right? Most of the time, what they have is a survival trope, right? They don't have business. So there are different kind of businesses. We've all done that. I mean, when we're a lot more younger, right? But the what separates businesses that can scale, that can grow, and business that you do for survival is first structure and vision, right? Vision precedes structure. So if you
Okay.
like that person that is doing back, if all you are just trying to do back for is I'm doing back so that before I see a better paying job, right? You're, you have already created a business that would remain extremely small because there would not be a going concern plan. It's more or less like a workshop where you work is where you shop, and then you just at the end of the day just go, right? But if you are looking at a business that I want to build a brand, I want to build something that would stay beyond me, right? So we now have different classes of those businesses. We have the small scale business, right, which is like these small shops that we have, right? There are different ways to scale those ones. We have the small and medium businesses, right? where I mean you are trying to build something out. It's also different from the small scale businesses that we see, like the one shop type of thing, right? Here you are trying to create a structure, but the structure is just more of revolves around you. Then we have the small growing business, right? The small growing business are different from the SMEs, right? The small growing businesses focus on growth, right? To say, okay, how can we keep growing this business in a way that it can move from maybe a sole proprietor to a partnership, from a partnership to maybe an LLC, from an LLC to say a business that will become a conglomerate or whatever it is that would pay my dividend, right? Then there's the venture backable businesses, which are more or less like the ones that you see that are quite common. So each of them have different risk levels, have different things that it takes to build them. Now, if you want to build a venture backable business that VCs and the likes would entice them, they would want it to be at least a tech-enabled business, right? So that simply means for that business to scale, they want to be sure that your business is relying on tech, your business has the capacity of being an high growth business. That simply means if you do 100 this month, they're expecting you to do 120 the next month, they're expecting you to do 180 the following month, they're expecting you to do 250, 300, 500, like that, like that, like that, right? So it's always an upward, a sharp upward trend, right? And they're also looking at liquidity. So it's a valuation game to say, okay, when are we going to grow this big for me to exit, right? Other than the one that is Wale and Sons, that me, I want the business to be with me. So at that point in time, for those kind of businesses, your emotions are not really attached to it because you have to be thinking of exit from the first day. And if you are thinking of exit from the first day, shareholder value from the first day, you would allow other people to come into your business, you allow other people to do them. Now that I've sort of corrected that. So you also need to know that in this type of economies, right, you must not be defensive. So defensive play for people, I mean, I'm not a football fan, so I might not be able to really talk a lot about that. But I know there is offensive and there is defensive. Largely in war strategies, right? If you plan to play defensive, as the case may be, you would always be firefighting. In Nigeria, we like firefighting a lot, from our government to our families to everything. Issues will happen and we say, let us try to resolve the issue that way, right? You will always be in survival mode as a business person. For you to scale, you always have to be in offensive mode where you are looking at the future, right? You are looking at, okay, how is the market trending? What is happening? For instance, election will be next year. Primaries will start soon. So what would happen? Inflation will most likely shoot up. Why? Politicians will spend a lot of money. So if I'm into a lending business, that simply means I won't get a lot of investment in. But what will happen? A lot of people will want to borrow money
Loans.
to spend,
Yeah.
right? Or for instance, let's even leave politics. Salah is coming, I think, in a couple of weeks, right? So
Yeah.
that simply means people are preparing for Salah. So if I'm someone that is selling FMCG, what should I be doing today? Be preparing for Salah, increasing my inventory, thinking about where will people go to, right? So if I'm selling food stuff, what are the things that people used to buy? It is common days and ram. So can I start thinking of planning to partner with maybe someone that sells ram that is popular to say, you buy ram from this guy, I sell rice, you can easily pick rice, right? So you start looking at trends and you start preparing ahead, then you start setting trends. So for an instance might be I sell bag, right? And everybody just does a type of bag. And I come in and I'm like, I'm doing recycling, upcycling bags, right? I'm trying to turn maybe you give me your old jean or your old something, I turn it into
Opportunity.
something that has sentiment value. And I sort of just trends set trend. So it's either you follow trend or you spot the trend that would happen and you try to react to it. And then you now go to your operations to say, what do we need to do to move from 1,000 to 2,000? What you have been doing when you are doing 10 would not work when you are ready to do 100, will not work when you are ready to do 200. So the way I typically say it is you follow your income statement, which is for me to make revenue, right? Two things needs to happen: my price and my quantity, right? For me to even produce that price, I need cost of sales. right? So cost of sale is everything you have to do for you to produce more unit to make more money. Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
break
So
it. Sorry, I'm going to break it down. So
okay, because I was going to cut you. I was
yeah.
going to cut you because I want us to limit this conversation to individual business, not corporate business, because I, in our context is business around majority of us are as a church now. Majority of us are 9 to 5 people, and you're also looking at okay, what are the things that can be doing on the side as business to
Oh,
just strengthen my financial capacity. And so if I have small business, for example, now let me give you an example. Okay, my wife makes what is it called now? Fruit juice, right? Not fruit juice, no additive, nothing. Makes that now. As a 9 to 5 person, I'm doing that by the side. So if I want to make it big, what are the things that probably I need to focus on? Do I need to and then there also we also have people that they are hindered by the fact that they are doing 9 to 5, and then the fact that they also do not have bulk of the money to say I want to push into business. So if I'm earning maybe around 150,000 naira in Lagos now, that's just barely something to live by, right? And so can I be thinking business with that? So people look at I don't have enough to even say I want to start business. Do we need to have enough to even start doing something to earn us more money? Do you get my point?
yes, I do. So
Yeah.
here is the thing, and let me sort of correct something. The sole reason
Okay.
businesses don't scale is because they think because they are sole proprietors, they
Okay.
they are not meant to do some structuring. Let me explain. The first thing is
Okay.
this: you are not your business. Your wife is not your wife Ltd. They are two separate things. Your wife must not spend the money of your wife Ltd. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Do you want to
Now,
tell
and
us
now
what LTD is?
you said no.
Do you
I
want to
mean
tell
the
us what?
business
Okay.
entity, right? So
Okay.
let's say what's the name of our fruit juice? Does she have a name for it? So
That's
let's
part
say
of the problem.
it's Grace. So let's say is so the first thing is this. Let me put it this way: if you
Mm.
want to do anything at all and you want that thing to survive, you need to be able to separate your finances. That's the number one thing that you need to do. Let me give
Okay.
let me quickly explain it. Now, the mistakes sole proprietors do, in fact, I've done it before. I told you, I mean, we're doing printing, so I can tell you what it is. So you would say that what will it cost me to make this fruit juice? I'll buy, let's say I want to make a pineapple and I don't know what they can mix with it, but let's say pineapple fruit juice. So what they will say is I'll buy the bottle, let's say they buy the bottle 200 naira, right? I would buy pineapple to make 1 liter. Let's say that one would be one single pineapple. Let's say I'll buy that one 500 naira. Then they will now say, oh, the sticker that we put on it is 20 naira, right? Then they will now say, oh, I'll buy ISO, that's 50 naira. Let's say all of that is 700, 800 naira. Then they will say, oh, I'm selling it for 1,000. My gain is 200 naira. You see what has happened is that if I should break that down for you, you discover that they are not making any gain. The margin is non-existent, right? Though to them, 800 naira is what they are spending,
Mm.
1,000 naira is what they are earning, right?
Mm.
And but because it is from that money of, oh, we've sold 50 bottles of pineapple juice today, oh, let us we want to buy soup at home. Oh yeah, go and bring that igbawo, like that thing that we collected money from. Oh yeah, go and buy this thing. That is why businesses like that don't scale. The first thing is entity concept, right? In accounting states that you are not your business. Dangote is
Mm.
not Dangote Group, right? So even if you are
Yeah.
one man business, you are the CEO of your WhatsApp page. Your WhatsApp page is not you. So what you have to first doing is understand how to separate that finances. That's the first step. So in that sense of the food juice business, the first thing will now be that she would employ herself to say that, okay, the fruit juice business wants to employ me as an employee. So we'll now go to what I was trying to explain before. So that simply means that the cost of sale will now be the first thing she would sit down on to say, pineapple is 500, every other thing, materials is 200. Now, there's an overhead, which is what is the cost of
My labor.
me going to the malam? What is the cost of me going to the market? What is the opportunity cost of that? That simply means that if I'm not able to go and I want to send someone or I want to employ someone to do it, how
You
much
pay the person.
will I pay the person? So I add it
Yeah.
to the margin, right? Now let's say that comes to 100 naira. Then I now look at it to say, okay, me myself, how much will I pay myself to for me to say this is what I'm earning out of this business. So let's say in the end I say I'll be making 15 naira for every fruit juice that I make. I add it to it, right? Then we now say that this place that we are using today, I'm using my husband's, and my husband is paying for the lights that we are using. The blender that we are using is because we are in only matrimony that my husband has bought it or have bought it that we are using it. The house is rented, is part of our rent, the NEPA bill, everything. Now I must put a cost to it from the beginning. Let's say that comes to another 100 naira. You know, the 1,000 naira she's selling it as wiped off, but she won't know in the
Yeah.
initial. So you put all of that, then you now put a margin. Now what now happen is this: every single time, let's say that comes to a margin of, let's say, 20%, right? Margin is just what you add on the cost of sales, right? That ends up being the selling price, right? So let's say that now comes to 1,200 and you are selling yours for 1,200. Every single time the business makes money, ensure the money goes into it. And at the end of the month, maybe it's monthly you want to pay yourself or weekly, calculate the 30 naira that you have said you will pay yourself, multiply it by the amount of bottle that you have sold. Is it from the amount of bottle you have produced, right? The amount of bottles that you have sold, which is your revenue that you have earned, then pay yourself. Now what happens is this: if at the end of the month that money is now 30,000 naira and you think that 30,000 naira is not enough, you know what you will do? You can either do two things: increase the price of your product so you can earn from 30 naira to 50 naira, or increase the amount of quantity that you will sell, which will become your KPI, to say, oh, I must sell 1,000 units of this for me to make so money. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Then the
Yeah.
margin that you have marked up for the business, that is not your salary, you are not to touch it. The only thing is for three things: either you are trying to say, okay, you want to move from um, provision for expansion. So the expansion might be, we want to move from pineapple that we are doing today to apple juice, right? It is from that money that you would do it, and that is the way you scale. If you are not able to make that separation, you would not scale. Then the
Hmm.
next thing will now be point of sale. For small businesses, point of sale is the most important thing. If I'm selling arts, like that women wear, I don't have any business going to men's summit, right? I must meet them where they are. For instance, let me give you an instance: buyers are different from consumers. If I go to men's conference, let me use an instance: Indomie noodles. The biggest consumers of Indomie noodles are children, for instance. But who are the people that they advertise to? They
The
advertise
parents.
to where the parents are, but to the children. So all the songs, all the things are not things that you would remember. But your children will keep saying Indomie, Indomie. Daddy, I want to eat Indomie. Now they will now place it where you, the buyer, they are the consumer. They've convinced
Hmm.
you. They will not place it where they would see it. The thing is, if they say Indomie, Indomie, and you go to market, you not see Indomie, what will happen? You buy my mind. The consumer does not have a choice. Despite the fact that they have convinced the consumer. You understand what I'm trying to say? So it's a
Yeah.
two-pronged thing to say, who are my consumers? Are they different from the people that buy? For instance, now, if you take shoes to a man to say, unless you have convinced the woman, the man will just be looking. They will say, I will tell my wife. Once, once it's not there, it's not there. The other thing is for buyers. Buyers are not emotional. Buyers are rational. They think about price points. So that simply means I also need to know that if it's a buyer I'm looking at that is not a consumer, all I have to be negotiating with the person would be price, 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 price. So these are some of the strategies that you have to put into place. Then how often are you in their face? Right? The best
mm,
products don't win. The products that get distributed the most win. So you have to think of what are the touch points that people, for instance, you should not be selling on WhatsApp and in the morning you are uploading 10,000 things and your WhatsApp story is like a bid and people are not able to. You should know when are the people who go to work. In the morning when they are going to the office, you post because they are inside traffic, they are bored, they are checking their phone. Okay, when will they be doing lunch? You post again. You can delete some of the things you posted in the morning, right? So that it's fresh, right? You'll be the first thing they see that time. Then when they are going on, when Lagos traffic is hitting them, you delete the old ones that you've posted. What do? You post something that is fresh. What happens? You always be top of mind for them. So those are some of the things that strategies that we have to. It's like everything has to come together. But the most important thing is you are not your business, right? And you need to separate them, and that is how you can really scale them.
mm. All right. Those are very important points. Thank you for thank you for those insights. And I have more questions, right? But before I go into the questions, I want to ask that for our viewers, please, if you have any question that you would like our guests to attend to, kindly just drop it in the comment section. I'm going to pick it there and ask our guests to respond to it. So thank you so much. So to my question now, so we're in the digital age, where everything is tech, everything is digital now. So if you are going to advise people that will be able to compete in this generation. So what are the essential skills that you think that everyone in our age should have now? Like for you to be able to compete, whether are the corporate settings or even the informal settings. So what are the skills that you think that is essential, especially for young minds like us now, to be able to stand out, to be able to push ourselves and create value in this generation that we are.
So let me tell you something that I did recently. The first thing I did when AI came to be some years back, and Claude. So I did that. No, that was ChatGPT. Then I repeated it this year. Yes, when Claude released something. So I went back to the chat that I had with ChatGPT. I copied it. I moved it to Claude. I now explained everything I do, everything I can do today to Claude. I now say, okay, AI is coming for me. This is where I work. Tell me, you are as an AI that you know what you can do and what you can become. Tell me how I will be relevant and what I need
Yeah,
to do to be
yeah,
relevant.
using AI for AI.
Yes. Guess what? He listed quite a number of things to say, oh, you can do this, you can do this. Oh, this one that you can do. Do you know that you need to learn how to automate it so that
Mm,
you are a lot more efficient? And I said, tell me how to automate it. He told me. Guess what? I took that thing, I practiced it at work. So we reviewed deals, all of those things, and I figured that there are things that are requiring. I just did it. And we typically have presentations to present deals. And as I was presenting my deal, I presented a lot more deals than other people. And afterwards, my line manager now asked that, wait, how did you do all of this? And I said, don't worry. I was just efficient. I was just efficient over the week, and I was able to do it. Now, what I did was to look at what would no longer exist in my in what I do today, right?
mm,
And I did it. Another thing I discovered is that it's a lot more easier to build websites, all of those things now. In fact, you don't need to be a developer, you just need to talk to an AI, AI will build it for you, right? That simply means that distribution has changed. Moat is no longer technology is no longer a moat, right? And moat is more or less like a USP, your unique selling point. What is a moat? is largely what can you use the technology to do.
To do.
So yes, so that simply means that people will no longer buy based on how fancy that thing is. So if you want to sell banking solution to a business person, you need to go and solve that a business problem for that person for you to layer your banking service on it. If you're a brand designer, just like Mr. Peter has added here to say, if you're a brand designer, that simply means people will not just want you to create a brand identity, because what would happen today? They can do brand identity. Claude can do brand identity. We design the entire brand identity. We design what their tone of voice should be. We design almost everything that you want to do for them. So what would happen? You need to go into, how does that brand make money today? How can I build something or create something as part of my own design solution that will help that brand make money? So that's the first thing. And if you're able to add that alongside what you do, it's just a lot more easier. So that might be a thing where, as a brand designer, you are not just creating brand documents for people, right? But you are not saying that, okay, I've built, because AI tools are easy now. Every brand that I speak to, I give them a brand tool where if someone comes in, they want to do a document, right? I've done it in a way that every when I'm done with you, as part of the brand assets that I submit a brand check app. So I just give it to you free of charge, right? And I tell you that if you write a letter and you put it inside that thing that I've given you, it will just say, oh, this, it will rate it to say, oh, this is not following the brand, this is not that. Now,
But
what
AI
about,
gave you the app, right?
yes, yeah, I gave you the app. So what
Okay.
would happen?
Okay.
They would think that naturally in the past it's a lot harder to distill brand
Mm.
identity into real life scenario. You have gone a step further. I mean, that's just an example, right? So you can start looking at all of those things to say, okay, what else can I do? And again, let me now tell you something. If you go to your office every day and you do the same thing every single day, right? AI would erode your work. It's just normal. So you have to create be you have to create a portfolio for yourself in a way that you are able to solve new problems every single day. The same thing happened with our parents, right? There was a time where there were clerks, and what were clerks doing? Just filing documents. Today, do we need clerks? No. You just search, because what they were doing is more or less like the same thing. So the first question you ask yourself is, sit down. When I resume to work on Monday, do I what and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, what are the things that are repetitive that I do every single time? And if those things you write them down, automate them, then learn another skill set that you can now layer on that. Right? But like I've said, just talk to AI, be as open as possible, the same way you talk to the Holy Spirit, right? That you would be as open as possible, right? Just tell it and say, tell me what can be automated, what I need to build on, the skill sets that I need to do. But most importantly is the fact that you have to start looking at the human side to every process, right? And ensure you are able to like more or less like build on it and scale on it. Thank you.
Mm. Thank you, and that's very helpful. And the person that asked the question can also attest to it that it's helpful. Thank you for uh combining the two questions together and answering them. That's very helpful. I also want to ask. I also want to ask. Um, let's say I have a business plan that I think that is viable. Yeah, maybe you will not know that a business plan is viable until you start doing it, right? But then let's say I have the business plan I think it's viable. Or I have a business already that I'm running, and then I think that I need funding to push it forward. So you are someone that is exposed to venture capitals that fund businesses, or how would you advise me to go about it? What if you are the funder that wants to put your money in my business? What are the things you will be looking out for that you will advise that someone like me should start putting up in my business so that I can attract a funder like you to scale my business?
Okay, thank you, sir. So the first question I like to ask founder is, why should your business exist? It
Okay.
might look direct, but it's a food for thought, right? This is a church. Sit down with the Holy Spirit and ask, why should my business exist, right? Sit down with
But so
the
so
market.
just to be clear, so why should your business exist will be what is the value your business
No,
want
no,
to
no,
create.
no. You are narrowing
Okay.
it. Yes,
Okay.
you are narrowing it.
So that's
It,
just one part.
yes. Why
Okay.
should your business exist? So when you sit down and you ask yourself, why should your business exist? The first thing will be, why am I doing this? Why? Why should I be the one to solve this problem I'm trying to solve and not Pastor Bokwe? Why am I the one to solve this? That's number one. The second thing will now be the problem itself. Is that so? There are three type of problems. There is the pain point. So a pain point, and you have a product that is a painkiller. It's more or less like humans want to go from A to B. So you give them a means of transportation. It can be downfall, right? That's a painkiller. If you enter downfall, you are going for Lekki to Badagry. In fact, there's Coastal Road. You are going from Lagos to whatever it is. Downfall will get there, right? And let that door, you will come up on it, right? That's a painkiller. Now, you now have the middle one that are more or less like vitamins. So, vitamins are essential to the body, but they are nice to have, right? So, vitamin
Mm.
products or solutions are now more or less like, oh, people need to go, but how will they get there, right? Do you want them to get there all sweaty? Do you want them to get there like with ease? What are you trying to do, right? You are trying to create ease, accessibility, right? That's where you'll be seeing all of those things, right? You are trying to solve something that is complex, right? You are trying to demystify it, democratize it. So that one will now be solutions like Bolt, Uber, and the likes. Because I will still get there, but what would happen? I'll get there in a good way. Then we now
Okay.
have what is
Nice.
called the candy product. Candy products are just nice to have. I want to go to a place and they are saying come and rent a Land Cruiser Prado for 150K to go from Lekki to mainland because I want to go and speak there, right? It's just nice to have. I can still get there using Danfo. I can still get there using boats, right? So what now happens is this, that now goes into your total addressable market. Now, the more you move from painkiller to vitamins to candy, your total addressable market keeps getting smaller, right? So look at the amount of, and how do you get your total addressable market? There's a basic thing in economics, demand. Now, demand is not just who can get it, demand is who can afford it. So you now break it down. So when a lot of people come and say, oh, who are your target audience? Oh, there are 20 million people in Lagos. No, 20 million people in Lagos are not necessarily your people because how many people can afford what you are selling at the price point that you are selling it, right? So that limits it. Now, in terms of accessibility, for instance, you are selling fruit juice, right? How many households in Lagos would identify fruit juice? What do they currently drink? What is the current traditional behavior? How many of them have drank fruit juice in the past 2 years, right? Is it that when they see your fruit juice, they will crave for it or they will aspire towards it, or they will just say, I like what you are doing, oh, it's so good. You see, when you tell people your business, and the first thing they tell you is, oh, I so much love your business, but they do not say, how much is it? Can I buy it? You must know you are not like your target audience is extremely tiny, right?
Mm.
Now, all of most of for a lot of people that are like Joseph, that have a lot of dreams, that have a lot of ideas, the first thing to do is call three of your friends and say, oh, so I want to do this thing. If they all tell you, oh, that's so nice, oh, brilliant idea, and that's more or less like all they've said, you don't have a business that can quickly scale, right? You don't have a painkiller as a business. Or if they say, yes, that's good, can you get me that thing now? That is a painkiller. That means there's a pain he's trying to solve. Not that you should not build vitamins, not you should not build candies, but you need to know who you are targeting it to and how you would sell it. So that simply means that if you are selling a candy and you are not posting on your WhatsApp status and you are not using funny sound to send to say, or you are using funny things to say, you see this thing that is here, this fruit juice, they are selling you 1 liter of fruit juice for 10,000 naira. You are not putting it on your status. It's not even well presented. You are just saying, take it, you will love it. No, because those type of target audience, they are very minute, right? They know what they want. What they would want would be something that would elevate their status, something that is aspirational to people, right? So that would most likely impact how you sell to them, right? Then you now drill it down to say, okay, now of all of these people, which one can I address, right? Based off maybe educational background, my immediate community, and all of that. Then you now move back to say, okay, of even these people, when I start, how much of them can I obtain? So I can easily, if I'm attending Love Squad, I can easily, and I'm in choir, I can easily bamboozle everybody in choir to say, you must buy my fruit juice. One after you can put it inside your bag, even if you do not like it, right? Now, for us as investors, what we now look out for is how much money, if you are selling the fruit juice for, let's say, 100 naira, how many of those people that are your serviceable obtainable market that fit that user persona, that fit that demand scope do you have? So if you say you have 1,000 today, then we extrapolate it to 5 years to see how many of those people would exist, right? If the number of those people are extremely small, we will see that, oh, this business will not really grow. Another thing might be that how much of work will it take you to make, for instance, let's say you now say the entire market is 1 million people and you are going for 20% of that, which is like 200,000. How many, what's the amount of work that it will take you to get to 200 million people, right? Do you have the resources? Do you have the expertise? Do you have the products that would appeal to those 200 people? How long will it take you? How much money would you have to spend? Are you unit economics efficient? Is your operations going to be efficient enough? If you are doing it inside your husband's kitchen today, to serve those 200,000 people, would you have to move from your kitchen to the husband's your kitchen to a bigger store? How much is able to this person is able to scale their business? This business is what, because at the end, all of us want to make money. So as you are pitching your business, we are not going to give you the money we are giving you is not free of charge, because we also have people that have entrusted us with their own money to invest in businesses for them to get returns, right?
Tons, yeah.
So are more or less like the things that will start with us, and that's why a lot of people, people that I know, will tell me, oh, this idea. I'll say, oh, I'm so sorry. We might not be able to fund you. Not because I don't love you, right? Not because you're not my brethren. But the thing is that I'm a guardian. I'm a steward. Yes, that's the word. I'm a steward of other people's capital, right?
Yeah.
And what they want is returns on their money, right? So if your business does not check those lists, I'm sorry, it might be an SME, right? Where you don't necessarily need venture funding, that all you need is debt, right? Debt in the sense that you borrow money. And when you are borrowing money into your business, you need to also ensure that there's something called leveraging. So let me quickly say that, right? I know we are pressed for time. Leveraging simply means that I have 10 naira, right? If I borrow 10 naira to do business, that means I will have 20 naira, right? Let's say I am to pay 10% on the 10 naira that I've borrowed, right? So that simply means to the person that I've borrowed from, I would have to pay them back like more than 10 naira, right? To the person, let's say we've now done the business and we've made 20%. What's 20% of 200 naira, right? That is around 40 naira, if I'm not mistaken, right? Now, we've made 40, or the entire money that we've made is 240 naira, right? I'm to return 110 naira. Well, how much have we made? 240 minus 110. That is 130 naira that we've made. If I've just used my money alone, that is 100 we would have made at that 20% would have made 120, right? So I've been able to make additional 10 naira by borrowing money. Now, that's what all the billionaires in this world what they do. Dangote did not build the refinery, did not have 20 billion US dollars sitting somewhere. What did he do?
Yeah.
Leverage. But he will make money.
Leverage.
Right? Now,
Oh,
there's a slippery slope. Well, don't go out. So the rate of return must be higher than the rate of borrowing, which is your cost of fund at every given point in time.
Obasa, maybe before you go into that, because
Yes.
the next question I was going to ask is on loan. Yeah, and since you already touched point on it, maybe I should just ask so that you can speak to it together. Like you said, we're
Yeah.
pressed for time, and I believe this question has been answered one way or the other. Someone asked, "How can I position myself on how to sell and market my products with ease?" I believe that you have touched point on that, but maybe you can still say one or two about it. But back to the loan issue. So, at what point should I start considering taking a loan to push my business, right? And then again, from the Christian perspective, we have some sects that will say that let's trust God to provide, right? And so they don't believe in taking loans, right? Right. So for business, right, at what point should we start considering taking loan to push our business, even as a Christian? Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. So the first thing is this: understand loan. So when it's loan, you are talking about cash flow, how money comes in and out. So your loan is for you to get loan in the first instance, they will look at your cash flow, how money moves in the
How
business,
much is it?
because they need to be
Mhm.
sure that you can make enough money for you to repay back the loan. If you are looking at equity, right, which is like investing directly in the business, taking part ownership, they are looking at profitability, right? To say, will this business pay me dividends, right? Those are two separate things. So that simply means when you are ready to take loan should be when that business has enough cash flow
Cash
to,
flow.
yes, enough cash flow to service the loan. So what do you see in Nigeria? Let's take Nigeria for instance. If Nigeria does not spend money on anything, what's the first thing they will say they are spending money on? Debt servicing. So
Servicing
Nigeria
them.
would rather go broke like they've been doing. They've not been releasing money to finance a lot of things and all of that. But what must they do? Debt servicing. So that simply means that your if you want to borrow money, you must ensure that what you are making, right? If you the interest plus principal that you have to do, your entire debt servicing amount must not be more than 33% of your revenue,
Mm.
right? Must not be. Why that is because if 1/3 of your entire earnings is going to debt servicing, and like we said, debt, your um, rate of return, or your internal rate of return, as the case may be, which is what you have made on the business, must be higher than the cost of fund, which is how much you are paying back in the loan, right? I've explained that earlier. So if being able to do that, and it's expected that your margin should be around 30 to 60%, as the case may be, then you use that. So if you finance the loan, what happens is you have a third of the money to yourself to as excess for you to do that. So before you go into debt, you need to look at the times of the debt. You need to look at the if you are able to service the debt, and if your business have enough cash flow to because what happens is debt is not from equity. Debt has the
Mhm.
first line to whatever you own. So as a sole proprietor is worse. The sole proprietor borrows money, they will come after your business, then come after you, right? So you can't declare bankruptcy. In fact, it's in Nigeria. You won't declare. You barely be able to declare bankruptcy, right? So that simply means loan is good for business, right? And for Christians that um, say, oh, they don't want to take loans and all of that, God will provide and all. What I would say is this: you are literally, the way I see it, right? I may be a business person and I'm just looking at it from the business point of view. But what we are doing is more or less like from the real definition of finance, right? You are collecting from people that have excess, that are not making use of the excess, to people that do not have a lot, so that those ones can use it for productive means,
Mm.
make money off it, then return some of the some of the money back to the money, and some um, profit sharing, a share of their profit or a share of the returns that they've gotten to those people that have in excess. And what have you done? You have just done wealth distribution. So
Yeah.
why would you deny yourself to be part of that wealth distribution? The abundance, the provision, the providence that God has created for some people, right? Why would you deny yourself from partaking out of that providence? Because again, God created people across different estates, right? And that is why He has created some people to have in abundance. And financial intermediation, stock market, anything, stock market, debt, loan, all of those things and all of that, just says that people that have more, the financial intermediaries will leverage the more that they have, give to people that have less, so that those ones too can be productive. And guess the most important thing, just like the parable of talent, productivity is the most important thing. And that's why I like the parables of talent. The first thing when they are telling the story is the master gave to each of them according to their.
According to what
Now
capacity?
that's the most important part of that story that people miss out, according to their capability. So he gave the guy of one talent because that is the capability of the one talent. But again, the man was not wrong. In fact, the guy now proved that I'm not even worthy the one talent. I'm minus one talent guy, right? So that's just more or less like what it is to say that your business does it have the capability to absorb this kind of loan? Do you have the cash flow? Now, get into people that have abundance. But again, as you are getting into it, look at the legal terms. The legal terms are super, super important. Ensure that you are getting into something that is favorable for your business. And as much as possible, you can service the loan and you are using the loan for productive things. Don't bury it. Don't use it. I mean, one of the ways to bury it, you are collecting the loan meant for your business, and because you now have access to it, that's when you now look at, you say, come on, this money don't come on. It be like saying na car we made o. This money don't come on. That mini flat, na him we dey stay. Or you look at your office and you say, this loan. Now what is happening is the chair I'm sitting on is not good again. Let me go and buy share of 2.5 million in Okamo because you've seen. No, what you should do is things that will give you more money, because it is when you make more money that you now have excess cash to now live the life. But again, we are Christians, we are not taught to be wasteful, because as much as possible, everything we do is to the glory of God, and everything we do we are filling a puzzle into the entire grand plan of God, right? So that simply means that you are also purpose driven, right? A Christian business should not be the one that we see that we say, we are looking at your income statement and we are seeing that the CEO is collecting more salary than the revenue the business is making, right? You are trying to doctor your statements just to ensure, no, 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 no. I believe that we are all Christians and we do the right thing. And I pray that the Lord will help us in Jesus' name.
Amen. So I was going to say that would be our last question, but another question just dropped, and that will be our last question because uh our time is up actually. So quickly, so we have a question on the chat here that says, as a fashion designer, how do you stay creative and still meet the market trends?
Okay. So let me say this. I've said this in the past. Don't meet market trend, set market trend.
Mm,
Vicky James, out of my own, I mean, uh, out of my own involuntary action, I've made to know her. Why? Because every single time someone is saying, "Ooh," maybe at work or at home or somewhere else, and he's like, "Oh, this design." What happens? They show me, "Oh, Vicky James." I'm like, "Who is this lady?" Why? Because she sets the trend. If you are the tailor, that you are the one that you go online and as much as possible you copy people, what will happen is that people will rather go to those people that have made set the trend than to come to you. So as a fashion designer, what you should do is try to see how what your own USP would be, right? I'm not a fashion person, right? So I might not necessarily be able to say a lot. But there's a startup in US that we backed, and this is like what they do. What they do is they ask people to look into their house and send them. So you do a consultation, you send them all the clothes that you don't like, and then they look at all the clothes that you don't like, and they make different kind of things for you. They make shoes out of it, they make bags out of it, they make jackets out of it, they make new clothes out of it, they make diverse things out of it, and they give you back. And then they said they've upcycled it, and you pay them a lot more dollars. In fact, what they do is they tell you that they make frames, frame that they put in the house from your different clothes. So they make it into images, they make it, and you pay top dollar for what? For the clothes that you would naturally have thrown away. They call it upcycling. And guess what? They give you a badge to say you are environmental friend, you are an
And
environmental person.
you are able to access like green bonds from
Exactly.
businesses like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So they give you something, and at the end of the day, you're like, oh, then when they go and meet investors, they say, do you know what? We have saved the ocean,
Yes.
um, so tons of carbon, some so all of the grammar that you guys used to bamboozle us now. Like
It's no
they say,
bamboozling now. It's the right thing.
they have added 100 more years to the lifespan of Earth because they have something that they would have thrown into the ocean that would have
Is
something
is resource management.
you can see now the fashion person, Mr. Doctor is already optimistic, the grammar, and they raise money, right? Now, what are they doing? They are not doing anything different from what my mom did when I was small. She will look at her old lace and say, oh, okay, this old lace is gbogbo oyinbo lace, coil, gbogbo. Oh, it's still looking good, but me, I don't want to wear it. So yeah, turn it to the up and
It's
down for
short.
this, right? That's all they are doing. But look at how they have been able to identify that, know what their target audience is, and they are milking it. Again, they are saying something about carbon credit. Remember, they carbon credit. The number of trees that they are cutting has reduced. So if they're able to do so tons of clothes a year,
CO2.
yes, they reduce. Very fancy. And guess what? On TikTok, everybody is following them, saying that, oh, this is so nice, this is so good. Oh, why can I be a part of this? Oh, in fact, my grandma used to have something that I love, something. Oh, my grandma just died, and I want this piece of art to know. Same thing happens with furniture. So I've seen all of those things, like, and I tell people, if you're in Africa and you are bored, you don't know what you can do with your business, go online, search for that same business in US. Search for areas like Texas, like there are a lot of black Americans. Search for the what they are doing there. Guess what? The internet is now interconnected. If you start doing that thing in Lagos and you start going on TikTok, on Instagram, and you start saying, oh, something in Dallas, something in ATL, and all of that, guess what will happen? Nigerians that want to be like the person in Tyler Perry's movie, right? They will jump on that trend, and they will come and meet you. Say, oh, there's even someone in Nigeria. And guess what? Because you are also in Nigeria and the world is now digital, you can be the person. And Africanism is now something that is cool across the world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can now do it, put it on seller, put it on main stack, put it on all of these things, and you see a lot of black Americans that will say, oh, there's a Nigerian. And guess, as a fashion person, Nigeria is everywhere now. Everybody believes that once you're a fashion designer from Nigeria, you are the best of the best of the best of the best. So look for something that Vicky James is not doing and do that, and just go public with it, right? Consistency, however, is the most important thing. Not that you will sew shoe today, it will be fine. Tomorrow, you sew the one that it is when the praise band lead bought it, and they are singing in church, and they are trying to jump up for Jesus, and the shoe will not work, right? So consistency is also very key, and I pray that God will help us in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. I believe that this session has been very, very insightful. And we cannot appreciate you, Thank you for being a blessing to us tonight. Uh, we know that you have to sacrifice a lot for us to be here tonight, and we are grateful as a church. We want to really appreciate you for joining us today. Hopefully, another time we'll be lucky to host you again. But till then, we just say thank you for coming around. We are really grateful to have you in this meeting. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Obasa.
Thank you so much,
All right.
sir. Thank you,
Yeah.
Pastor. Thank you, everybody in the church, for
Yeah.
having me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
All right. So that will be all for tonight. I strongly believe that we all have been able to pick one or two things that we can write on for our businesses, for those of us that don't have business yet, things that can spur us to go and think about values we can create, how to, and for those of us that have business already, things how we can scale our business, how we can be ready for investors to put their fund into our business, and things that can also spur us to innovations. Like you said, the world is digital now, so you can have products that you are doing in Nigeria, and then you are exporting abroad. Our nation is also working so hard to make sure that we increase our exports, things we are exporting from the nation. So it's an opportunity for us to, I mean, to do business and make more money. Yeah. So want to appreciate everyone that joined this meeting tonight. This is our business meeting. As a church, we believe that as we are going in the word of God, as we are going to love the Lord will also love us to do well with the things that He has committed to our hand in creation, His blessings in creation. And that's why we have sessions like this. We usually have it once a quarter, and we alternate it. Sometimes it's virtual and sometimes it's physical. So we want to thank you for joining us. We are Love Squad Church. We are Love Squad Church located in Ikeja, Salvation number 52, Recast Plaza, Salvation Bus Stop, Ikeja, Lagos. And if you are someone that stays around, you are in Lagos and you currently do not have a church that you are attending, we would love you to be part of us. And if you have if you are looking for a church that you would love to be part of too, we would love to have you around. We're a church that believe that through the through the love of God, our city can be changed. We believe that if we love God enough, if we understand the love of God and we allow the love of God to fill our hearts, we'll also be able to dispense the same love to our neighbors, and then we'll be able to have a better city. So we believe that love can win, the love of God can win over every evil act in Lagos State, in Lagos City. And that's what we are set out for. So we would like to invite you to be part of us if you are looking for a place of worship. Thank you so much once again. Want to appreciate you for joining this session tonight, and till the next time we're going to be having this kind of meeting again. Say remain blessed and keep praying for us, keep praying for Nigeria. God bless you. Bye.